Hi, President. Yes, I'm on, President. I just lost you for a while there, so I wasn't sure it was my time.
Okay, good.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Great to have you again with us for another week. You know, for people like, oh, and before I go any further, I'm trying to open my video, but for some reason it's not releasing. But before I go any further, I would like to say big congrats to somebody who, well, we already knew he would get there. And know that it has happened. We want to all celebrate with him. That's no longer PP Paul, it's now DP Paul Peart. Welcome as usual, sir. Great job. I mean, you deserve what has happened, and you know, and we all celebrate with you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, PD Newton.
It's a pity you and the others couldn't have been with us last week, because as you all know, last week we were face to face at the Secretariat, and I must say a great time was had by all. And another thing I must say is that, like in Las Vegas, what happens at the Secretariat stays at the Secretariat. If you want to know what happens there, you have to turn up when we're at the Secretariat.
Yeah.
But it was a great evening. And for those of you who don't know why it was such a great evening, is because we also not only celebrated being back at the Secretariat, but we also celebrated the 77th birthday of DLG Willie. And I can tell you, the Kiwanian royalties did roll in last week. We had a packed you know, it was fun seeing everybody face to face. It's great seeing all of you online now. So let me just find out who is here so that we can you know, say hi and celebrate with you. How about the Kiwanians outside of Jamaica? Any Kiwanian outside of Jamaica? How about Kiwanians in Division 25?
Good evening. This is Kiwanian Ingrid of the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. So far, I am on alone, and I'm expecting others to join shortly because we're having a board meeting. So I'm expecting more to come a little bit later. Okay, thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks for coming. And as you know, the mantra of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, once you're with us, you're never alone. You have what? A whole lot of, you have 31 other persons in the room with you right now. But
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from Division 25? Division 25. Okay, DP Josette.
DP Josette here. Pleasant good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
Representing my club from the Kiwanis Club of Armadale.
Okay, great.
I hope you have a good afternoon, and thanks for the welcome.
Okay. Thank you for the good wishes, but I don't hope that you have a good time. I hope we have a good time, because you're one of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, DP Josette. Anyone else from Division 25?
Good evening. This is DS Heather of the Kiwanis Club of Rosa Hall in Montego Bay.
Mm-hmm.
We are 5 in number. We thank you for your invitation, and I'm sure we will enjoy your meeting.
Okay, I'm sure you will too, DS Heather, and your delegation. And remember, that invitation is an open invitation. We meet every week, 7 o'clock Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming. Anyone else in Division 25? How about Division 24? Anyone with us from Division 24 this evening? Okay, well, let's look at Division 23 East. Anyone from Division 23 East? Division 23 East? How about Division 23 West?
Hi, good night. Kiwani and Lucian from KCF Greater Portmore. Thank you for the invite.
Okay, and thank you for accepting.
You're welcome.
Okay, hope you will have a great evening with us.
I'm sure we will.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming. Anyone else from Division 23 West?
Yes, good evening, everyone. P.E. Newton.
Hi,
and
DP
fellow
Janet.
Kiwanians. Yes, DP Janet. Bringing greetings from the Kiwanis Club of the Sunshine City, Portmore. There are 3 of us here, including an historian, and we're looking forward to a very interesting meeting. Thank you.
All right, great. And I guess when we're going to be discussing Mama Africa, it's great to have an historian in the room.
I'm sure she'll participate.
Okay, great to have you and your
Thank
delegation. Okay. Anyone else from Division 23 West? Okay, how about Division 23 Central? Division 23 Central, anyone with us?
Yes, good evening, P.E. Newton.
Hi. Oh, another
Right.
Kiwanian royalty. Good evening.
Right. I am so happy to be joining you this evening. I was at your meeting last Tuesday, and it was a blast. I certainly did enjoy myself. DLG Debbie here from the Kiwanis Club of Constant Spring. I'm alone at the moment, but I expect others, as we had discussed that they would be here with you this evening. So I'm looking forward. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Always great to see you, DLG Debbie.
Thank you.
Anyone else from 23 Central?
Yes, good evening, P.E. Newton. How are you doing?
Hi there, our member of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, P. Eurydice.
Oh,
How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Mm.
As you know, I'm from 23 Central Story Online, and at
Yes.
the moment, we have a delegation of 4 members, to include the dual member LGE Desmond. So thank you for the invite, and we look forward to learning more about this topic on Africa and Black as it relates to Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you, P. Eurydice. Thank you for joining us each and every week, and thank you for bringing a delegation with you on most of those occasions. I mean, we really appreciate it. Always nice seeing you.
Yes.
Anyone else from Division 23 Central? Okay, what about our SLPs now? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, this is Kiwanian Marshallin here from the Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew. I'm expecting my President Robert Thomas and a few others to join shortly. Evening. Hope you have a productive meeting.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have a productive meeting, and I'm pretty sure you and your delegation will be blessed by it. Thank you for coming.
P. Newton, you may want to acknowledge DLG Gerthlin, who is in the house.
Hi, DLG Gertlin. I didn't realize you were there because of the screen I'm on, but welcome as usual. Are you hearing us, DLG Gertlin? Okay, and I must tell you, people, DLG Gertlin was also with us when we were face to face last week, and I'm pretty sure she had a great time. Any SLPs? Any SLPs in the house with us tonight? How about guests of Kiwanians? Do we have any guests of Kiwanians with us tonight? Okay, so we'd have no guests of Kiwanians. How about persons who are online who are not Kiwanians and not guests of Kiwanians? They just decided to drop in and see what we're about. Anyone in that category?
Good evening, everyone. This is President Shakessa Wilson from the Bahamas, the BBUC Club. That stands for Bahamas Baptist University College. I thought the topic was very interesting. Therefore, I'm here present with you all. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming, President Sakesho. I mean, it's great to have you. And remember, it's an open invitation for you to join us each Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Good night, everyone. This is VP Tiffany from 23 Central Surrey Online. I have with me Ariana from the Builders Club at Mona Heights Primary. She is the vice president of the club.
Okay, thank you, VP Tiffany and Ariana. It's great to have you. Hope you will have a wonderful evening and you will participate in the discussion that will definitely follow.
She said good night.
Okay, great. Anyone else would like to let us know you're here? Okay.
She didn't tell you, she didn't tell you that Ariana is young Tiffany Hope.
Oh, no, she did not.
Yes.
Thank you, LG.
Sorry, everyone. It's my daughter. She's the vice president for the Builders Club. And I think Kingston Club is their sponsoring club.
Yeah, I was wondering why when you were saying it, your voice sounded so proud. No, I understand why.
Yes, I am.
It's your little baby.
Yes.
All right, great to have you both. Anyone else who would like to let us know you're here so we can say hi? Okay, well, I just want to, as I say, welcome everyone. I know you're going to have a great evening. I mean, when it comes to that part, I want everyone to just jump in freely and participate. I mean, guided by DP Stewart, of course. And again, let me just say, congrats, DP Paul. Well deserved. It's back to you, President Junior.
Thank you, PNU. And a very special welcome to our newest DP, Paul. Paul, are you online? Welcome, and thank you for coming, as usual. Are you still online, Paul? DP
Yes, President
Paul.
Junior.
I want to hear your voice, man.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. Good evening.
Very good evening to you, and welcome again.
Yes, thank you very much.
We know that you have always been. Thank you. Okay, are there any apologies for absence at this time? Any apologies for absence?
DP Earl has an apology for absence.
Okay. Any apologies for absence?
Director Warren McDonald.
Okay, thank you, DG Willie. Other apologies for absence. Okay, if there are no more apologies for absence, let us move to our recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. And we'll ask no other but our own VP Steve. Do we need that first?
Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you, President. I'm here and accounted for.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Fellow Kiwanians, guests. At this juncture of the meeting, we usually celebrate our Kiwanians who have a birthday this week or anniversaries. And on our calendar, we are sending out a special wedding anniversary to DP Jeff and his wife Jennifer, who will celebrate their special day on February 12th, later this week. That's the only Kiwanian that we have from our club, but I'll also take this opportunity to ask any of our 40 people who are here participating this afternoon, if there's anybody who is celebrating a birthday, anniversary, a special occasion, a graduation that they'd like to share with us at this time. Any special occasion? Okay, but I'll share with you just another special event as we are celebrating Black History Month this month. I did some research and there is actually in 1868, a long time ago, there is a famous African-American scholar. His name is William Edward Du Bois, who was born on that day, today, and is celebrated as part of Black History Month. William Du Bois is famous for being a number of things, including a social activist and a scholar. He has written a number of books, and he has a distinction of being the first African-American to graduate with a doctorate from Harvard University. So if you have some time later on, you can Google and do some research on him, and you'll find out he was quite an interesting individual and made a significant contribution through his books and through his activities towards Black History Month. So that's just a little tidbit I'm sharing with you. Back to you, President Junior, and I hope that all the persons who are in attendance will enjoy this afternoon's presentation.
Thank you, VP. Thank you very much
You're
for that
welcome.
little bit of information as well.
Sure.
Okay, tonight we usually will have our Kiwanis dedication at this point in time, but instead, or I should say, as our Kiwanis dedication, we are going to have the introduction of our own LGE Desmond Bachelor, candidate for Lieutenant Governor 23-24. And to introduce him is our own DLG Willie. DLG?
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Before I introduce Lieutenant Governor-elect Desmond, I wish personally to extend my own congratulations to distinguished President Paul and the club on being distinguished. This evening, President Junior, fellow Kiwanians, I have the pleasurable task of introducing Lieutenant Governor-elect Desmond as a candidate for Lieutenant Governor for the administrative year 2023 to 24. A 20-year Kiwanian, Desmond joined the club in June 1996. He led the club during the year 1920 and received the status of distinguished president. And he's currently, as mentioned before, Lieutenant Governor-elect for Division 23 Central. He's also a dual member of the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central Surrey Online. Twice Kiwanian in a year for the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. He currently is a Kiwanian advisor for 2 Billers Club and 2 key clubs sponsored by Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Desmond is well known for an involvement with the service leadership program. He's very passionate about the growth and development of young people, which has been demonstrated with his tireless involvement in the club's Terrific Kids program, as well as the oratorical competition of our Billers clubs over the years. He has served as chairman for many other service leadership programs for Kiwanis Club of Kingston and 23 Central. Lieutenant Governor-elect Desmond has also served as the treasurer of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and 23 Central, Surrey Online, for an aggregate of 5 years. He is currently the club coach for Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew and the president advisor for the Kiwanis Club of 23 Surrey Online. Desmond retired as Deputy Commissioner of Tax Administration, Jamaica, and is currently General Manager of Tropical Metal Products Limited. Desmond gained his MSc degree in accounting and the BSc Management Studies from the University of the West Indies, where he lectured and tutored in financial management and management accounting. Lieutenant Governor-elect Desmond is married and to Yvette, and they both have one child. Desmond is passionate about transforming the lives of people with children as a focus in 2023 to 24. His best moment as a Kiwanian is when he sees the children he has mentored over the years excelling in life and sharing their memories of the positive impact he has had on their lives. If elected as Lieutenant Governor at the Divisional Council meeting on Sunday, he plans to work closely with presidents and their members in transforming the lives of children. Fellow Kiwanians, please put your hands together and welcome Lieutenant Governor-elect Desmond Batchelor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction, DLG Willie, and of course, the warm welcome. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians, SLP members, guests. President Junior, thank you, sir.
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for the opportunity to introduce myself as the LG candidate for Division 23 for the administrative year 23-24. My theme is transforming lives. And the focus this year will be on children. And I will encourage presidents and club members to introduce projects that will build character, improve self-esteem, and foster self-confidence. Clubs can be innovative and implement programs geared towards improving the lives of children. And at the end of each quarter, the club which delivered the most impactful project will receive the LG's banner patch. But at the end of the year, the LG's plaque will be presented to the overall winning club that delivered the most transformative programs throughout the year. I'll say that the criteria will be developed with the input, sorry about my dog barking there, with the input of each Kiwanis club for greater ownership and acceptance. And that's together with the Divisional Service Leadership Committee. At the start of the administrative year, clubs will be asked to present their programs to transform lives. And they should address character building, self-esteem, and self-confidence. But some suggested programs are, I would say, the Terrific Kids program, which is one that I love dearly, and that is so much involved in building character. The Bugs program, that's the Bring Up Grades program. Speech competition, and this one being the oratorical competition for Builders Club members. But the debating competition, much so for the more senior SLP members. Of course, training of all our SLP members will be emphasized and re-emphasized. We look at to improvement in the physical conditions of some of our schools, where we're able to make a difference. The breakfast feeding program, I mentioned the last time that this is one that we have practiced by North St. Andrew and also Kiwanis Club of Young Professional St. Andrew. And there's a good story that I've heard so much, particularly from South St. Andrew, Young Professional St. Andrew rather, I'm sorry. So we have social and recreational programs such as the Campvention, which we have by North St. Andrew. And I'm not sure if this is open to other clubs, but the partnership would be excellent. There's also mentorship of our Kiwanians. The criteria, I would say, it will include attendance at SLP club meetings and participation in their service project. Also, how SLP members are invited to Kiwanis meetings to learn how to conduct themselves and apply parliamentary procedures. I will encourage greater partnership among clubs, which can also assist the weaker ones and allow everyone to deliver unselfish service, form enduring friendships, and build better communities. President Junior and fellow Kiwanians,
Yes.
my next area of emphasis is membership retention, and clubs will be rewarded with banner patches and the LG's plaque at the end of the year for the most effective membership retention program. But in the interest of time, I will defer until another occasion. So thank you, President Junior, for allowing me to speak on the theme, and to everyone for listening. I look forward for your support at DCM on Sunday, February the 19th. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, LG Desmond. And I'm sure we'll be there with you. I'm sure you have a lot more to say, but time would not permit you to do so.
President, I just wanted to pardon me because I have to hop over to Kiwanis Club of Caribbean Emerging Leaders.
Yes.
So I take my leave and return after. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again.
Right.
For being with us. Okay. Tonight we come to the main event. As we have said before, this month is Black History Month. So we are taking the opportunity tonight to have a feature on Africa. And we'll be asking our own DP Chairman Stewart to deal with that. DP?
Yes, President Paul, President Junior.
He's not
Okay.
President Paul anymore, DP. He's distinguished President Paul.
Right.
So you weren't addressing.
I was corrected anyway. Yes, my apologies. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, this evening, I thought I'd do something a little different. We wanted to explore some of the things that are happening in Africa. And I thought about what I would do. And what I am gonna do is I'm going to play for you a presentation made by someone. And I'll tell you a little bit about that person. She may not be a total stranger to you, but let me tell you who she is. This is a lady who was born in Zimbabwe, migrated to the United States, and where she attended Fisk University. And it's interesting, I found out that she never actually paid a cent to attend. It was just one of those things where when she was going to university, she kept promising that the money was going to come from Zimbabwe until the people realized, and then she had to admit that there was no money gonna be coming from Zimbabwe. But yet they allowed her to continue and complete her education. She went on to establish a set of medical clinics in Nashville, which is where Fisk is, and then became a bit of an activist. Now, so she has been in the US for about 50 years, and she was then asked to be the ambassador for the AU, which is the African Union, and it would be the ambassador to the United States. She is no longer the ambassador because I think she, in other words, when a new chairman took over, they did not renew her contract. But it has not stopped her from speaking out about some of the ills and some of the things that need to be corrected as it relates to Africa. And so I thought that this particular presentation would give us an insight. One of the things you will hear mentioned a bit is the reference will be made to the Berlin Conference. I had another tape about that, but it just wouldn't be right. It would be a bit too long if I played that one as well. So you'll get an idea of what the Berlin Conference is if you didn't know what it was. But I'll only have time for this particular one. And I hope you all enjoy it. So if you give me a second, I'm going to start this tape. Afterwards, if anybody would like to, discuss anything that was in it, you will have an opportunity to do so. But let me start. This is at a particular conference. And I didn't tell you her name. Her name is Arikana Chihombori Quao. And that is her name as when she was there. Well, she was the ambassador, as I said. And this particular presentation was made while she was the ambassador. So just listen, watch and listen, and let's hear what you think after.
A very good morning to all of you, my fellow African diaspora. Good morning. I'd like to thank our moderator for the most wonderful introduction. And I also want to thank the organizers of this amazing event, the children of Africa, who are truly saying enough is enough. That our circumstances as Black people around the globe can be better, should be better, and will be better. Amen. I was being interviewed by one gentleman about 2 years ago. And he asked me, who do I listen to? Who did I get my inspiration from? And it dawned on me that actually I'd never quite stopped to think about it. But as I was struggling to answer that question, it suddenly occurred to me that while my father may be gone, that I still, to a great extent, listen to him. That a lot of what I do, what I think, those are whispers that continue to come. And he reminds me every day of where we came from. I was reminded of the stories that I grew up hearing from my father, growing up in the country of then Rhodesia. But prior to them British coming to Zimbabwe, we were none other than the powerful Monomotapa Kingdom. And my father recalled to me, and all of us in the family, over and over again, how our land in Zimbabwe was taken by the British. If you were a veteran of the First World War, or just an adventurous Briton, First or Second World War, you were guaranteed 2,000 hectares of land in Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, plus any loot from the local people. I repeat, if you were a veteran of the First or Second World War, or just simply an adventurous Briton, you were guaranteed 2,000 hectares of land in Rhodesia, plus any loot from the local people. The British were encouraged to loot from the local people. They even have that law in the books today. It's called the British Lewd Law. Those on the ground, the Rhodesians, the British who were on the ground, they had divided Zimbabwe, Rhodesia then, into 4 regions. The first region was the perfect region for agriculture. It had the perfect rain, perfect soil. Region 2 was pretty close to Region 1. Region 3, not so good, perfect for cattle ranching. And Region 4, nobody should live there. It didn't rain, the soil was like sand, like a desert, and it was infested with tsetse flies and mosquitoes. So the British set out to move the Zimbabwean people from Region 1 and Region 2, even Region 3, into Region 4. So when you landed in Zimbabwe as a British, you were directed in the Region 1 or Region 2 area. And the way a British mapped out his land is by getting on a horse and riding in one direction until either him or his horse was tired. Then he would put his peg. And the following day he would wake up again and do the same thing. So it took the British man 4 days to map up his land. And when he was done, everything in that land was his, minus the people. They would then go to the villages within that newly acquired land, and they would tell the villagers that in this direction, go past this mountain. In this direction, go past this river, because your land is now mine. And the people left with whatever they could carry. My father was a young boy of about 13 years. You see, we don't quite know exactly what his birthday was, but we do know that he was born in the year of the leaves. And when that year of the leaves, it just so happened that there was a year that was very peculiar in the sense that so many leaves were shedded. And everybody remembers that year of the leaves. And during our history, the year of the leaves was 2019. Not 2019, 1919. So we assume he was around 13 years of age when this particular situation occurred in his village. As a young man, he remembers waking up early hours of the morning and there was pandemonium in the village. Everyone was running around the village, scattered around, and there were these men on horses, the men without knees, they called them. You see, when you wear pants, you look like you have no knees. So they called them the men without knees on horses. They were running around the village and torching the huts. The whole village was ablaze. And everybody was running.
I just saw a message saying no audio. Are you hearing?
I'm not getting any audio. Trevor here.
Is okay.
I'm hearing loud and clear, DP.
Very clear.
Very clear. So okay. Well, I can't be sure why. Trevor, that happened once before to you, and you were the only one. So I'm not sure. Okay, but everyone else is hearing though. Just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm having 2 platforms and none of them are hearing.
No, not everybody. I'm not hearing anything. It just cut
hearing.
off for some minute. When you came in.
No. I stopped it, I stopped it when I came on to speak.
Oh, that's it. That's the time.
No, I stopped it when I came on to speak. Okay, I'm going to resume.
Okay, I'm hearing.
Whatever they could carry on their heads. My aunt, rather his aunt, was pregnant and was due any day. So they had to ask these men without knees for permission to allow her to stay until she could deliver. So they had negotiated that her heart was the only one.
Volume, please, we don't hear anything.
So they decided that maybe if you just left one young person, a child, just maybe that the British would not kill them. So it was my aunt, his aunt, who was pregnant, a grandmother who was the midwife, her husband, and another sister, and my father, who stayed behind in this village that had been torched up. And they were huddled in this one little hut. And my father recounts the biggest fear that he had every morning was the fear that this white man without knees on a horse would stop by every morning and wanted to know whether or not his aunt had delivered. Sadly for them, it took 3 weeks before she could deliver. And 3 days after she delivered, they were asked to walk. We didn't care where you go. Just get away from now my land. And unfortunately for them, no sooner had they landed in what they thought would be their new home, before they could regroup, yet another British came out and mapped out his land. And once again, here they were. So they decided this time, they were just going to go as far away as they can, hoping that no other white men would come and claim their land as theirs. That is the story I grew up being told by my father. And he would always say, where our land originally was, it was now the land that was owned by Oppenheimer of Oppenheimer Funds. And when we would drive past that land, you could drive at 120 kilometers an hour, and you were still on his farm. His farm was larger than the country of Belgium. And my father would always say, someday we will get our land back from these thieves. I grew up truly believing that the British were thieves. Because as a little girl, that's what my father told me. And I believe him. And based on that story, you cannot deny that. So those who chose to say the way in which the land was taken in Zimbabwe, I would always say, let me tell you my story from my father. Let me tell you how the land was taken. And that is our truth, that we were denied. We were told lies. Then you fast forward over a century later. I often say, I'm the granddaughter of a grandfather who was dispossessed of his land. And then my white Caucasian friend is a granddaughter of the thief who stole the land from my grandfather. I'm simply asking that me, as the dispossessed granddaughter, who has lived an underprivileged life because of the actions of your grandfather, and you, who has lived a privileged life out of the loot from your grandfather, it's now 2019. You and I, we know what's right. Let's sit down and talk about this. Let's fix this the right way. But instead, my colleague then says, but I had nothing to do with it. This land is now mine. To which I will also say, but I also had nothing to do with it. I've lived an underprivileged life. What's right is right. And what is wrong is wrong. So the truth of the matter is, because you will not agree to fix this situation, do you want me to beat you up? Before you can do the right thing? Or are you going to be civilized enough and do the right thing? Because if the truth be told, going back to my grandfather, we have been the civilized ones. And you and your grandfather have been the uncivilized ones. How long is it going to take before you can do the right thing. And the story did not go on just in Zimbabwe. The story is repeated around the globe. The injustices that was told to me by my father, the injustices that I grew up with in Rhodesia, those injustices continue around the globe. What is it about us Black people that we're hated so much? What is it that we as Black people have done to the world to deserve the disrespect that we uniformly experience no matter where you find us on the globe? We are the most exploited and abused race in the history of humanity. And yet we are the origins of humanity as we know it. I often say, particularly us Black women, we gave birth to the first human being. Without us, there would not be any other races, and that is a fact. Ladies, let's put a hand together for the Black I was talking to the Queen Mother, and she said, what came first, the chicken or the egg? One group said the chicken, and the other group said the egg. Queen Mother said no. You see, the Black woman is the only one who can have a child without a man. She said the Black woman came with the egg. The two came together. I'm saying this to say we are an amazing race as Black people, that we have been lied to. We have been told that we do not matter. We have been told that we are inferior to others. Far from the truth. Civilization as we know it began in Africa and it stayed in Africa. The history books have been distorted to begin when they want the history to begin. You see, they say history is his story. We must have history and her story, because her story is yet to be told. From Berlin Conference, going back to 400 years, we started bringing Africans across the Atlantic, to the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, to just downright continued exploitation of Africa. The richest continent on earth does not dictate the price of not even one natural resource. The divisions that were intentional, policies put in place to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated 135 years ago, remain in place today. The colonizers on one hand, they say, we are giving you independence. But on the other hand, you must sign this document that you agree to continue to be colonized. And those who dare refuse to sign that document, they found their heads on the chopping block. They were assassinated. That started between 1958 and 1961, when we were, quote unquote, getting our independence. We're now in 2019, and the bid continues. And the bid goes on. The question I have is, how bad do things have to be before we Black people can say enough is enough? France single-handedly is taking over $500 billion out of the continent. And by the time they finish investing it in their own stock market under the French name, they're realizing upwards of trillions of dollars every year. It's not that we don't know it. We know it. We know it's happening. But nobody's saying anything. That's just France. 75% of the natural resources being traded on the London Stock Exchange are coming from Africa. We all know it, but we do nothing about it. You see, when they sent missionaries to Africa, they gave them strict instructions. They said, you shall teach the Africans how to read, but not to reason. I repeat, you shall teach the Africans how to read, but not how to reason. The same was perpetuated with the slaves. Keep them from thinking through things. Program them to take only what you tell them. In other words, put them to sleep. We've been put to sleep. The question is, how long do you choose to continue to be asleep? We have children, my brothers and sisters, that have no clue as to what we have been through, who have not experienced what we have experienced. They're going to have, we'll have grandchildren who we are going to leave this world the way it is, and they don't even know where to begin. Simply because we have chosen to remain asleep. We, the children of Africa in the diaspora, sophisticated and educated as we are, sometimes we are our own worst enemy. The African Americans are being told your suffering was worse than those on the continent. That the ones on the continent sold you into slavery. Do you honestly believe Leopold left a bed of roses in the Congo? Do you honestly believe the British left a bed of roses in Kenya? No. In Uganda, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa? Do you honestly believe that what they started as they were taking the slaves out of the continent, they stopped? I beg to differ, they did not. If the truth be told, the carnage continues. The exploitation of Africa continues unabated. And we seem totally powerless to do something about it. We have this unfounded fear of what may happen to us if we speak out. Well, I want you all to know that my father is constantly whispering to me that, my dear daughter, are you going to continue to be nice and ask your counterpart to negotiate with you about what belongs to you? Or are you just going to take it? Are we going to continue to have Europe tell us that we are a diseased and dying continent when they are stealing trillions of dollars out of our continent every day? You see, to a great extent, we have no one but ourselves to blame. The G7 gave us 261 million a couple of months ago to African women. I don't know, some of you, if you saw the announcement. The media went crazy because we got 261 million from the G7. Every journalist that I could get my hands on, I chewed them out. How dare you make us believe that 261 million from the G7 was something? This is not even a crumb under the table. I reminded them, do you remember the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, that France alone has taken over 500 billion? When you put together the other colonizers, what they have taken out of the continent, we are talking trillions, and you are sitting here and getting and using the platform that you have through the media and spreading nothing but hogwash propaganda. Journalists have a responsibility to speak the truth and nothing but the truth, but they're censored. We know better. We should not accept crumbs under the table. We should refuse to be lied to. No more. We must seek the truth. We know who we are. We know what we're capable of doing, particularly the diaspora.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Zuma was very clear when she appointed me as the permanent representative for the African Union. She said, my sister, change is going to come to Africa. But that sustainable change is going to be brought by the diaspora. But not just any diaspora, but the diaspora in America. You see, in America, we are already integrated. We are not Californians. We are not Floridians. We are Americans. That's not the case in Europe. They may be from France. They are Germans. They are Italians. That's what makes the diaspora in this country unique. And because you are unique, you have a responsibility.
Yes.
No more shall we sit back and watch our brothers and sisters, our mothers and uncles languish in Africa because of what was done to us and what continues to be done to us. You see, as individual African countries, it is almost mission impossible to push back against the West. You must understand that very clearly. Do you see Togo pushing back against France? Do you see Eswatini pushing back against the British? No. And yet we seem to want to waste our energies complaining about the African leaders. You see, the problem of Africa, I liken it to a tree. We could complain about the leaves that are drying up one season after the other. And we keep complaining when the trees dry out. Next season, the leaves are going to come out again and they will dry again, and then we complain again. We're complaining about the branches that are drying out and falling off. And we never go to the root. And that's why we will always be noisemakers and complainers. And our problems will never be solved. I'm begging all of you to understand that what we are being made to consider as our issues are not our issues. They are not the real issue. They are not the reason why we are where we are today. We must address our issues from the root. And by the root, I'm talking about the Berlin Conference. And understand that the Berlin Conference is alive and well today. By dividing Africa into the tiny little economies that we are today, have you ever wondered why is it that to fly from one part of Africa to the other, sometimes it's easier to go to Europe first? It's because the African skies were closed. Have you ever tried to visit 3 or 4 African countries on vacation? You send your passport from Iowa to Washington. It takes 3-4 weeks to get your passport back. That's Nigeria. Then you send your passport back to Ghana, the embassy in Washington. In some cases, those embassies are right next to each other. 3-4 weeks, your passport comes back. Now you gotta send it back because you want to go to Egypt. Another 3-4 weeks. By the time you get your passport back from Egypt, your visa to Nigeria is expired. So what do? You say, forget Africa. I'm going to Europe. We laugh about it. But this is what the Berlin Conference did. Try buying something with your Malawi kwacha in Nigeria. Mission impossible. So you know what? It's just easier to use the euro or the dollar or the sterling. Mozambique is an oil-producing country, but its oil has got to leave Mozambique and go abroad, only for Zimbabwe next door to buy it back 20-30 times the cost. I was talking to a brother who makes some of the best ceramic tiles in Egypt, He said, my sister, I gotta send my towels to Italy. Only for my towels to be relabeled Italian towels. And then my brothers and sisters on the continent are buying them at 20 to 30 times the cost. I was in Niger with one of our diaspora brothers from Ethiopia. He's a coffee distributor in the United States. He went for breakfast at the hotel where we were staying, and he comes running to me, and he had taken a few packets of instant coffee from Switzerland. And she said, Ambassador, what is going on here? I have to come to Niger to drink coffee from Switzerland? Coffee that I know very well is from East Africa? What is wrong with this picture? Hot chocolate, cocoa. 65% of the world cocoa comes from West Africa. And yet when we see the cocoa, where is it from? It's not, thank you. Swiss chocolate. What disgusts me, my brothers and sisters, is we know what's going on. And we do absolutely nothing. How dumb do we have to be? How stupid do we have to be? Is this going to be generational stupidity? No. Are we just stuck at the corner of stupidity and ignorance? No. Thank you, my brother. The answer is no. And that process of saying enough is enough begins with us. And that is why we are here today. To start a movement that we are going to say, as African diaspora, enough is enough. So together, my brothers and sisters, we are going to have a petition. We're going to start with France because France is the biggest perpetrator. You see, with France, you got to understand it's downright cash. You see, when you steal from somebody, you respect that if they catch you, they might beat you up. So you wait until they are not home to go and steal. You wait until they are facing the other way to pickpocket. You see, France is not doing even that. France is simply saying, give me your money. They're just bullying African countries into, give me your money. And if you don't, I'm gonna kill you. Plain and simple. So you see, while we wanna go after all the colonizers, France is in a different category. We want to start with we want to stop the bleeding. The $500 billion must stay on the continent. And on top of that, you see, France is easy. We can actually calculate from 1958 the amount of monies the African countries have deposited with France. We are going to claim all that money back. Because we are going to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And then when we finish with France, we equalize the playing field. We get France to be on the same abuse level as the others. So to the United Nations we shall say, you, the United Nations, the body that is the defender, the protector of human rights, why are you sleeping with the enemy? France is the member of the UN Security Council. How can we have France as a member of the UN Security Council when France singularly is one of the biggest violators of human rights in Africa? Singularly, France is the biggest risk to peace and security in Africa. And yet nobody is talking about it. So we want to have 1 million signatures. We shall approach the United Nations. We're going to ask them, why? Why are you allowing this carnage to go on in Africa? Millions of Africans are dying every day because of the activities of France and other colonizers on the continent. Why do you continue to claim to be a body that defends human rights when you are overlooking the biggest violators of human rights? You see, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have this petition. And if they don't listen to us, remember what I said yesterday? That if you men if you black men who have failed to defend us as your wives, who have failed to defend us as your sisters, who have failed to defend us as your children, if you don't fix this, then step aside. Because we, the black women, are going to come together and we will fix this. You see, in my village in Zimbabwe, when a woman marries, she submits herself to the husband's village. Oh, yes. And you are told you must behave. Don't disrespect us. Take care of everybody. Yes. So the woman runs around like a chicken without a head, taking care of everybody. The husband's brothers, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the cousins, everybody is dumping on this woman. And pretty soon, she has children of her own. And nobody is helping her. 10 years later, she's exhausted. She has tried to complain. Nobody pays attention. So what does the woman do? She takes off her clothes and she runs around the village, up and down the village. And suddenly, everybody starts to listen. The husband even gets in trouble with the elders. They call a quick village meeting to say, what happened? What did you do to her? Why didn't you tell us there's a problem? But the woman has been telling you. And it took the woman taking off her clothes before anybody in the village would listen to her. Well, I got news for you all men. You better be ready. Because if the United Nations does not listen to us, we, the black women, shall march and take over the United Nations building, and we will take off our clothes. And if the police are willing to arrest 5 million, 10 million naked black women, go at it. And we're going to do this because we're sick and tired of our men being disrespected. We're sick and tired of our children being disrespected. And also because we are saying, enough is enough. So the choice is yours, black men. Either fix it or we women will.
We will fix it.
Okay. We had a few more minutes to go, but that was, I think, an appropriate point, at least to end it, because I think we got the gist of what she's saying.
Enough is enough.
Just one. Okay, so I don't know what you all think, but this lady, Arikana Chihombori Quao, is an amazing woman. And if there's, you may just want to absorb it, but if anybody has any issues to raise, you know, feel free to do so. One of the things that she alluded to, but which she didn't elaborate much on, is that there have been several countries. There are 14 countries in Africa that are former French colonies. And she did mention this, but I don't know if you might have missed because she didn't elaborate much on it in this presentation. But they were forced to sign a pact. They call it the Pact for the Continued Colonization. I mean, there's not even any pretense as to what it was, but it's referred to as the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And initially, 2 countries refused to sign it. And what France did was to, I think Mali is one. I think what France did is to try remove everything that they thought they had brought to the country, and also pour concrete in their sewer lines. That was what France did. And it obviously totally, you know, wrecked the country. So you're telling me that you're gonna give independence, but at the same time, you must sign a pact for the continuation of colonization. And then these countries now are required to deposit 85% of their foreign currency earnings in the French National Bank. I think it says that that number is now 60% instead of 85%. And a lot of it basically stems from the whole Berlin conference in the concept. There's a story behind some of that, but I won't go into that. It would have been easier for me to just do another video, but I think one video of this length for tonight is enough. Okay, so does anyone have any other any comments?
Well, DP Stewart, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Well, you know, and as she said, you know, it's his story. It depends on who is telling the story. And I mean, it's the first time hearing about this ambassador, but I can tell you, I have to look up some more of her speeches, and I have to also look up about the Berlin conference, because, you know, it ties in with what we hear about Haiti and what we see about Haiti. And it also ties in with what, you know, some people thought that Mugabe was a savior. Some people thought he was the devil himself. And it shows that when it comes to Africa and Black countries, it all depends on who is telling the story and what narrative people want you to hear. So, I mean, I'm really glad you showed this video tonight, because it has reminded me that I need to do some more research.
Well, you know, what happened in what was then Rhodesia and in Zimbabwe is really, it's open, it's well known, you know. Although the way she described how the foreigners would, you know, designate the area that they wanted, and that was kind of amusing. You know, you go as far as you can, you know, on horse in one direction, and then you do it another, you know, I guess to cover the 4 corners or the 4 borders. And you have no choice, because what they would do is, if you didn't move, they just burn the huts. They just burn whatever the huts that were within the area that they have now taken possession of. And as she said, they were encouraged to loot from the people. And you could keep that. That was part. And she mentioned that there's still a law called the loot law, you know. So these are things that one can check. But I just found this very interesting. There are a few other speeches that she has made, quite a few. If you Google her, you'll find a lot. But what I liked about this one in particular was that she talked about Zimbabwe as well as and she doesn't do that very often. Most of that, as I've heard, she didn't really talk much about her life in Zimbabwe. But this one, she included that. And then she took it to another level in terms of the whole thing with France. And I like the point where she says, no, we're gonna put them on the same level. We know when we get our money from France, we'll now put them on the same level as the other exploiters, you know, because she's not saying that the others aren't doing anything, but France, she figures, is the worst. And it does tie in. You mentioned Haiti. It does tie in with what happened with Haiti and the forced reparations that Haiti had to pay France for basically freeing themselves. So it's consistent. At least we can say that the British, although they might have continued some form of exploitation, at least they didn't force countries like Jamaica, etc., to sign a pact of continued colonization. Okay. If there are no questions, I will turn it back to President Junior.
Thank you, DP Chairman Stewart. Very inspiring. And as she has said, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Right? So let us move along and we'll call on the Sarge at this point in time. Zuri, are you around?
I am around. Good evening, everyone.
I thought you would have been.
Well,
What's your approach this evening?
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, because I have to be using my phone this evening, so I'm just hoping that everything goes through clearly.
It is so far.
So there is this preacher man in our rural church that he would constantly preach about when the trumpet of the Lord shall sound and what will happen. So this Rasta man lived close by to the church and he would always hear him. So the Rasta man devised a plan for the pastor man and said, one Sunday, when they're in church, this is what he's going to do. So they're in church and the pastor is in the middle of his sermon. You know how these preachers can get and they get dramatic and the foot up and the grunting come in and the Lord says, and hey, so the Rasta man decided he was going to climb on top of the church with his liquor trumpet and started to blow. So he started to blow his trumpet and everybody in the church started to scatter. Everybody running because the Lord is coming and the sky is going to open. So while the pastor man is running, his jacket caught onto one of the benches. So he started to shout, let me go. Myself, let me go. I don't me alone thief church money. Take from that what you will. I hope none of us are in any such church. So we were taught that there are 7 days in the week, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But DLG William Reeson decided to add a new day to the week. So in his email, he told us about the board meeting on Monday. So I'm trying to figure out which day is Monday.
The
But
day before
seeing that we
Monday.
just celebrated his birthday, right? And we're still in a festive mood, I decided that it was time for the club to give to Sir William Reeson. And so in giving, we're going to be doing a blanket fine this evening of $200. Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Blanket fine.
Right. And thank you. And thank you, Sarge. I won't find it this evening. I'm finding the jokes. They were really jokes this evening. So I won't charge you. Okay. Notices and announcements. Interclub opportunities.
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes, Damian.
Just a reminder, our divisional council meeting, second quarter, is held on Sunday. No, beg your pardon. Yes, Sunday, February the 19th.
Yes.
Sorry, beg your pardon?
You're right again, DLG.
At the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. That Sunday coming, the 19th. They have sent out the registration forms. I think all our delegates have by now registered. If not, please do so and register for the actual convention. As we have a candidate for Lieutenant Governor, let us go out and support LGE Desmond Bachelor. Just a reminder, the two upcoming conventions, ECNC Convention in Quebec City on Thursday, 18th of May to Saturday, 20th of May. Kiwanis International Convention will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota, 18th of June to 21st of June. I'm particularly encouraging our younger Kiwanians to see if they can attend one of these conventions because it is very informative, especially the Kiwanis International Convention, a very informative one. The district convention, you have more fun, but I would certainly encourage you if you have the time and you certainly if you have the funds to attend one of the two conventions. In terms of interclubbing opportunities, tomorrow night we have two opportunities in the club. We have New Kingston meets at 6 p.m. and we also have Young Professional St. Andrew annual Valentine's Day auction. And that begins at 6 o'clock. That is on Worthington, the Worthington Church on Worthington Avenue, coming down from Trafalgar Road on the right-hand side. And then on Thursday, North St. Andrew meets as usual at 6:30 p.m. Police Officers Club. Those are all the notices and announcements, interclubbing opportunities. For now, President Junior, you may want to turn it over to the visiting clubs. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, DLG Willie. Now we hear from our visiting clubs. Are there any notices or announcements that you'd like to make at this point for visiting clubs that are with us tonight? Any notices and announcements from our visiting clubs? Oh, if not, we'll just move back to you, DP Stew, for the thought for the week. Usually there are thoughts.
Thank you, President Junior. I spent so much time going through a lot of tapes that I had not completely, but I'm gonna give you a thought anyway.
Yes.
Here's one. I do not fear the man who practices a thousand kicks one time. I fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times.
That's right.
And that's a quote from Bruce Lee.
Okay.
And another one, let me just say this one. A poor man is not a man without a cent. A poor man is a man without a dream. And those are my two thoughts. Thank you, President Junior.
Very good.
And thank you. Thank you, DP. Thank you. Okay, we are now at the end of the meeting. Are there anything that you like to, anybody, any burning issue that